Good day viewers, welcome once again to my channel. I hope you've subscribed. If you've not done that, remember to subscribe. Now we are going to answer some possible questions for the NECO 2026 biology examination. So we'll just get started right away. Now those of you that watched my videos for the WAEC practicals, you saw that majority of the questions came out. Even the diagram, one of the diagrams came out. So of course we can also watch this and pass our examination. So let's get started. Now these are the specimens for the NECO examination: pelvic girdle of a rabbit, cervical vertebra of a rabbit, caudal vertebra of a rabbit, transverse section of pawpaw fruit, transverse section of guava fruit, quill feather agama lizard, rat or rat. Specimen I is quadrat, J sweeping net, K housefly, L pride of Barbados, M is cashew nut, the nut of the cashew, not the cashew apple, N is millipede, O is crab, P is sorghum grain. Now we begin with the pelvic girdle of a small mammal. Now this particular picture shows the pelvic girdle, and you can see this yellow part is the sacrum, is the sacral vertebra, the sacrum, and you have the caudal vertebra there painted in blue. Five observable features of specimen A. Of course, you know the pelvic girdle consists of the ilium, ischium, and pubis, which are fused together to form an innominate bone. Then, of course, you have the presence of acetabulum, you have the presence of obturator foramen, you have the presence of facets for articulation with the sacrum, and you have the pubic symphysis. So these are all observable features of the specimen. List 5 functions of specimen A. Functions of the pelvic girdle: provides surface for attachment of muscles, protection of reproductive organs, as a support for the sacral vertebra, and of course forms ball and socket joint with the femur. So they could ask what type of joint is formed between the lower limbs and the specimen. Of course, it's a ball and socket joint. And of course, you also have obturator foramen, which is for the passage of blood vessels. A is specimen A axial appendicular skeleton. So the pelvic girdle, of course, the pelvic girdle is appendicular skeleton. Same with the pectoral girdle, the forelimbs and the hind limbs. So it's appendicular skeleton, and of course, it is made up of bone. And the nutrients present in specimen A is calcium and phosphorus. What function does the nutrient, that's the calcium and phosphorus, what functions do they perform? You see, formation of healthy teeth and bones, blood clotting and coagulation, proper function of heart and nervous system, contraction of muscles, regulation of metabolism, and of course phosphorus is a component of DNA, RNA, and nucleic acid. And of course, this is the ilium, the pubis, and the ischium. The ilium, the ischium, pubis, and this is the pelvic girdle. Now, unlike the video I did for WAEC where I put the title and the magnification, don't forget to put your title and your magnification as well. So your title must be there, your magnification. Because I had to rush to do this video, then you have time to put title and magnification in all of them, because there are lots of diagrams. There are a lot of possible diagrams in this particular exam. Now, cervical vertebra of rabbit, caudal vertebra of rabbit. So we do it side by side. First thing, that's for specimen B and specimen C. So we compare both B and C. Remember, B is the cervical vertebra, C is the caudal. And the cervical vertebrae is found in the neck, while the caudal vertebrae is found in the tail region. And of course, these are the number in man, rat, and rabbit. Most of our textbooks have it like this. So they all have 7 cervical vertebrae, and of course, it varies for the caudal vertebra. And between the cervical and the caudal vertebra, you have thoracic, you have lumbar, and you have the sacral vertebra. In man, the sacrum and the caudal vertebrae, which is the coccyx, they are fused, and these are the regions in bracket where you can find them. State 5 differences between specimen B and C: large neural canal, vertebratal canal. Remember, the vertebratal canal for supply of nutrients, richly supply the blood vessels. So vertebratal canal, transverse process, neural spine, and large centrum. Compared to the caudal vertebra. Remember, the caudal vertebra is at the extreme end. Now, when we answered for the pelvic girdle and we said it's appendicular skeleton, but you see, for the vertebra, all of them, they are part of the axial skeleton alongside the skull and the thorax. That's the sternum, the ribs. So all of this makes up the axial skeleton. So cervical and caudal vertebra make up axial skeleton. And remember that they are also endoskeleton, because we will deal with millipede much later, and you see that millipede has exoskeleton, crab has exoskeleton. Please, some of these things I'm mentioning, I may not have prepared slides for them, but you must know them. So specimen D, transverse section of pawpaw fruit. Now, this is the taxonomic classification of pawpaw. We all know pawpaw is Carica papaya. That's the scientific name of pawpaw, Carica papaya. Feel free to pause whenever you need to write something down. It is a berry dispersed by man and animals. Now, of course, we know the pawpaw is brightly colored, and humans and animals, they pluck it, like humans pluck it, they eat the succulent part, after which we throw the seeds away and the seed can germinate. So that's the method of dispersal for pawpaw. And it has parietal placentation, and these are some of the nutrients that are found in pawpaw. Guava, transverse section of a guava fruit. And of course, Psidium guajava, that's the scientific name for the guava, Psidium guajava. And remember, it's a trachyphyte, it's a vascular plant. So Psidium guajava, that's for guava. It has axial placentation, and this is the reason, because the seeds are attached to the placenta at the central axis. At the central axis. That's for the placentation of guava. And other berries, you have orange. Remember, we said pawpaw is a berry, said guava is a berry. Oranges, tomatoes, garden egg, they are all berries. That's the type of fruit. The quill feather, one very important specimen in biology, quill feather. Name the kingdom, phylum, and the class of organisms from which specimen F could be obtained. Now, F, the quill feather, is obtained from birds. So the kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Aves. Specific location of the body from which it could be obtained: wings and tails. Name 3 examples of organisms for which, this is past question, so it could come out. Name 3 examples of organisms for which specimen F could be obtained: duck, turkey, chicken. duck, turkey, chicken, since they are all birds. Functions of specimen F to the organism that possess them: for flight, for insulation, for courtship, for protection, for incubation. Flight, insulation, that's the regulation of body temperature, courtship, display, protection, incubation. Observable features: inferior umbilicus, barbs, barbels, in both inferior superior umbilicus, then of course after shaft, petiole, and the rachis. So all of these are features of the quill feather. Observable features that adapt it to its functions. Now, the color makes enhances. Remember, we said one of its functions is courtship display. So the coloration enhances courtship display. Then, of course, the rachis is centrally placed to straighten feather, lightweight for buoyancy, streamlined bodies. Okay, but we are focused on the quill feather now. Then the barbels for upthrust and glossy surface for waterproof. Label diagram. Again, remember to write the magnification and the title of your diagram. Very, very important. Agama lizard. Agama, agama. Make a label diagram. Don't forget to write your title and your magnification times 2, times 3, times 0.5, depending on exactly your measurement and the size of your image and the size you are supposed to draw. Now I use 8 centimeter, 10 centimeter, but they can tell you 10 to 12, they can tell you 6 to 8. Rat, specimen H rat. Of course, this is the label diagram. Remember your title. So there are a lot of possible diagrams in this particular one. A lot of possible diagrams that could be drawn. So take note of them. You should be able to label them. Don't label like this. Ensure that all the labels are in one corner of your writing material. Differences between G and H. Remember, G is the lizard, H is the rat. Scales, nuchal crest, gullar fold, all of these are present in lizard, but they are absent in rat. Reduced pinna, no furs, no whiskers. That's for the lizard. While rats, they have all of these. Remember, the rats are homeothermic or endothermic or warm-blooded, while the lizards are cold-blooded or poikilothermic or ectothermic. Now, all the lizard teeth are the same. They are not specialized teeth for different functions. Why? For rats, they have heterodont dentition, canines, incisors, premolars, all of them for different functions. Now, kingdom and phylum, they are both in kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata. But while lizards are reptiles, rats are mammals. Then, of course, Agama agama, ratus ratus. Then, lizards oviparous, while rat is viviparous. That means they give birth to their young one alive. They don't lay eggs. Then they both carry out internal fertilization, while examples of reptiles, you have snake and crocodile. Examples of mammals, you have rabbit and sheep. Similarities between them, between lizard and rat: distinct head, trunk, and tail. They both have tails. They both have forelimbs and hind limbs. They both have eyes, nostrils, and mouth. So these are the distinct traits. These are the similar traits between G and H. Similar traits between specimen G and specimen H. Specimen I is quadrat. Quadrat. We did quadrat for YX specimen, so it's coming out again. So it's very easy for us to just remember exactly what to write. So used for population studies, determining population of small organisms and plants. That's the function of the quadrat. Then, of course, it is a square frame which is made from a thick wire. Now, another method for collecting plant specimen is the transect method. Is the transect method. Is the transect method. Describe how specimen I is used. Now, what do? You just throw it at random several times, and on each lading, the area covered by it is observed. Type of species, their number is recorded, the average number of times is calculated, and the most frequent or dominant species is determined. Some organisms associated with the use of quadra, your tree dax, remember tree dax is just in one particular position, your speargrass, your beetle, millipede, the ant, etc. Alright, the sweep net. The sweep net, that's specimen J. Okay, so what's the function of specimen J? What's the function of the sweep net? It is used for collecting flying insects. That is what the sweep net is used for. Describe how specimen J is used. Now, you select the habitat, then of course you hold the sweep net and you swing it, especially when there are flying insects around. You just swing it and you catch them. There's a place for collecting the flying insects, so the swinging is repeated severally to catch more insects, and then you record the type of insects that were caught in that particular habitat, like your butterfly, grasshoppers, your dragonfly, your praying mantis. All of these can be caught with the sweep net. Now, this is the diagram of a sweep net. You have the metal pole, you have the rim, you have the mesh or the net, and you have the container, so whatever for collecting the insect. So this is, remember to put your title of diagram and your magnification. Area of biology where the quadrat and sweep net are used, ecology. Housefly, specimen K, the housefly. So classify specimen K under the given headings. Body division, it has 3 body divisions: head, thorax, and abdomen. It has wings, has a pair of antennae, a pair of compound eyes, has 3 pairs of legs, making 6 legs. It uses its trachea for gaseous exchange and the Malpighian tubules for excretion. What is the scientific name of specimen K? Musca domestica. Two diseases of which is a vector: typhoid, cholera. Metamorphosis, it's complete metamorphosis. Then of course it belongs to kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda, and class Insecta. Of course, type of metamorphosis, we just said it's complete metamorphosis. So the eggs to larva, which is the maggot, to pupa, to adult. And one very important, one economic importance of specimen K is that it's a disease vector. There was something I was supposed to add. Remember that the housefly has sponging mouth parts. So in case they ask of the type of mouth part, you have sponging mouth parts. Of course, this is the diagram or the structure of the housefly. Please do not shade. This is just a picture, more like. So do not shade when you are drawing biology practical. Pride of Barbados. Pride of Barbados. The pod, not the flower. The pod. Cisapeina pulcherrima. Pride of Barbados. A very, very, very beautiful plant. Pride of Barbados, Caesar Pena, Pulcherima. So, Pride of Barbados is a dry dehiscent fruit because it splits along two sutures when ripe to release the seed. That it dehisces along two sutures to release the seed. It has the marginal placentation, and this is the reason why we say it has marginal placentation. It has a green color, and what's the significance of that color? Indicates that the fruit has chlorophyll and therefore is photosynthetic. Remember that the nutrient in Pride of Barbados is protein, basically. Oh, it's here. So examples of other legumes: beans, peas, mucuna, crotalaria, granite, etc. Delonix, all of them are flamboyant plants. All of them are legumes. For biological importance of the class of food to which L belongs. Of course, source of food, it belongs to protein. So source of food, nitrogen fixation, that's it, one of its very agricultural importance. Cover crops to prevent erosion, and source of feed for livestock. There is the diagram. Remember title and magnification. Now, specimen M, the cashew nut. Now, the picture you are seeing here is that of the cashew apple attached to the nut. The cashew apple is the one yellow in color. Then you can see the cashew nut attached to it. So it's the cashew nut that we are talking about. Anacardium occidentale, cashew fruit. So we are dealing with the fruit itself, not the nut. So it's the cashew fruit we are answering. And of course, a drupe dispersed by man, and other drupes like mango and coconut. Now let's classify them into true and false fruit. Now, most of these fruits we've done pawpaw, we've done guava, Pride of Barbados, we do sorghum. Sorghum is the last specimen that we'll deal with. And why are they true fruits? Because remember, true fruit develops from the fertilized ovary alone, while false fruit develop from the ovary and some other parts of the flower. Like the cashew is a false fruit. You have the nuts attached to the cashew, which are an accessory fruit to the nuts, which is the true fruit. Now, this is the diagram of the cashew nut. Or not. Millipede. N is millipede. Classify N under the given head. The body division, it has two. You have the head and the other similar body segment. A pair of antenna. Walking legs, you have different segments with two pair of legs. Then it doesn't have wings. Then of course the trachea is its respiratory organ. Kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda, class Diplopoda. Remember, the class of the arthropod class includes crustacea, includes Diplopoda, includes Arachnida and Insecta. So all of these, Chilopoda, all of these are classes under the arthropod. Habitat, these are the places you will see the millipede. Feeding habit, it's a detritivore. Adaptive features, of course, it has a tough exoskeleton. Remember, we also did endoskeletal structures, so you may be asked to compare which one is exoskeleton, which one is endoskeleton. And remember, exoskeleton made of chitin, while the other endoskeleton bones. So it has tough exoskeleton, numerous legs, coiling ability, and chemical defense. So these are adaptive features that help it to survive in its habitat. Ecological importance: as a decomposer, with its burrowing activities, it helps to improve soil structure, and of course, it could be a crop pest as well. So these are some of the ecological importance of the millipede. Crab. Crab has two body divisions. That's the cephalothorax and abdomen. No wings. Imagine if crabs could fly. Two pair of antennae, stalked eyes, five pairs of jointed legs. Remember, you said it has three pairs. So all of these things you could make comparisons. Respiratory organ is the gills. The gills are respiratory organs of crab. Then the kingdom, the phylum, and class of crab. Animalia, Arthropoda, Crustacea. Two other examples of two other organisms that belong to the same class as O. That's two other crustacea. You have crayfish, you have lobster. In fact, crayfish most times is the quintessence organism of the crustaceans. Habitat of it's aquatic habitat basically. And this is the diagram. Again, remember to put your title, diagram of specimen O times, this should be 0.5. Although they are bigger, it could be one self because it depends on the size of the crab you have on your table when you are conducting the practical. So and our final specimen, the sorghum grain. The sorghum grain. Of course, taxonomic classification, sorghum bicolor, that's the scientific name of the sorghum. Sorghum bicolor is the scientific name of sorghum. And of course, these are, remember, majority of these ones majority of the specimen we have for this NECO practical, majority of them are tracheophytes, which means they are vascular plants. So they have the vascular bundles, and this one is not an exception. So they are tracheophytes, and of course, sorghum bicolor, that's the scientific name. Now, classify the sorghum under the given headings. Type of, we say caryopsis. Why is sorghum a caryopsis? We are talking about the sorghum grain now. It's a one-seeded fruit in which the pericarp adheres strongly to the seed coat of the ovule. It's a one-seeded fruit in which the pericarp adheres strongly to the seed coat of the ovule. Agricultural classification: cereals. It's an annual, and of course, the class of food present is carbohydrate. Class of food present is carbohydrate. Now, in the agricultural classification, we just mentioned cereals. Remember other cereals: your oats, millets, barley, wheat, maize. All of them are cereals. When you are taught agricultural classification of plants, you talk about cereals, we talk about legumes. So it may even be made to compare the cereals here with the legumes and their agricultural classification. Now, this is an annual plant, which means that it takes 1 year to complete its life cycle, and most cereals are very, very, very rich in carbohydrates. Most cereals are rich in carbohydrates. Now, two uses of specimen P. Of course, it's a source of food. It's a source of food. It's a source of feed for farm animals as well. Then, of course, it comes in handy when it comes to ethanol production. So that's for sorghum. Though it's not something that we've encountered a lot down the years in biology practical. So sorghum bicolor, These are a few facts about it. Now that's a wrap for our presentation. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you need to do. But above all, I wish you best in your examination.